Today I'm at Lake Bastrop and beside me is the OOD Signature Park Model RV Mirror House. We are in for a real treat because I'm sitting down with the guy who hosts this short-term stay, Garrett, and he's going to tell us all about how he was able to buy prefab homes and then quit his job. And I don't think it's going to be exactly what you think. I was quite surprised. Let's jump right into the interview. All right, I'm here with Garrett from Cameron Ranch Glamping. We are sitting in front of the new Signature house at Lake Bastrop in Texas. I recently found out that Garrett is known as the short-term rental expert, and I had a chance to sit down with him. I'm actually staying in this tonight. Am I the first one to stay in it?
You are absolutely the first one to stay in it.
I'm taking it for a test drive tonight, but I thought this was a perfect opportunity to sit down and maybe chat a little bit about the industry, because a lot of people that watch my channel are maybe looking for something to live in full-time, but there's a whole another avenue that you went down where you bought prefab homes in order to make it your full-time job.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with that idea?
I've always been very creative. That's the one thing my whole life growing up. Anything creative has been something that I, was drawn to. And so I was doing music, I was a DJ, I was doing anything under the sun in music, and I loved that portion, but it wasn't something I knew was gonna, build wealth for my family or something that I'm really trying to do within it. And so I had a hotel management background that I did, and I've always done some real estate things here and there, but nothing really drew me in until I found short-term rentals. And I started to get, I was doing the Airbnb thing in 2019 and doing just regular condos around Houston. And I realized that to stand out as more competition was coming in, you needed to do something really unique. And I love nature too. And so I really wanted to re-emphasize to people that you can disconnect and reconnect in nature while also being in something really, really unique. And they get the social currency out there to, put on their Instagram and all these cool things that people want to do.
Yeah.
So I was able to hit both sides of that. And it was, as it started kind of coming together, and I realized like, hey, this actually could be a full-fledged business that is not only scalable, but also something that really, brings back to the community around too. So, we're able to support a lot of local businesses and also give them people that, just those stays in nature that you can't get in downtown Houston or Austin and places like that. So.
Okay, so one of the things that I thought, and probably a lot of people watching are thinking right now, is you need gobs of money to start a business like this. But we were chatting when I first got here, and they've kind of got a setup where you get the house for free almost. Is that basically what am I understanding that right?
Of sorts.
It seems like a scam, but maybe you can talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, it's, you definitely have to have some skin in the game. So, you have to do some of the site infrastructure. I teach something called land hacking, where you're getting a piece of land and you're getting utilities at different parts, and you're able to put these unique style of cabins on there. But people like OOD who have partnership opportunities, once you have a little bit of, you have a piece of land that's beautiful with a little bit of infrastructure possibly there, or, just a little bit of money to start getting the operation going, OOD has a partnership model where they will provide you the house and you split the revenue with them on the back end. And, there's a few steps you got to take, site visits and some things like that. But if you're like really serious about this and have the opportunity to build something beautiful for people, OOD will be interested in at least possibly, taking that route with you too. So it's something they're really looking to explore and expand.
That's awesome. One of the things that come up in the comments of my videos quite often, and maybe you can touch on it, is what is the actual setup cost to get the land ready for, I guess, let's just use this as an example.
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you buying land all around the country, those prices will vary. So that will be particularly for your area and how big of a piece of land, and how, if you want 1 acre with one house, that's totally different than building out 10 acres with, 20 units. But for just one unit, when you're speaking like this with some decking, some utility work and things like that, you could be looking anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000, I would say. And it could go up to $75,000 to $100,000, really based off the utilities. Utilities are one of the biggest things that people need to pay attention to and understand when they're getting into something. If you're gonna go off-grid, that's a great option as well, but that's not cheap either. There's a lot of things that you need to figure out with your local county, permitting and regulations and some other things. Okay. I personally like doing on-grid utilities. So you're probably going to lean more towards that $50,000 to put decking, get your water ran, get your electric ran, get your sewer, septic, whatever that you're needing for your particular area. I would say that's a ballpark, but it can vary a little bit here and there. And I'm always open to helping anybody, you know, with some different techniques and ways to like make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck and being as smart as you can while setting up your operation. It's all about the vision, you know, for your big goal going ahead.
Cool. So this has just like kind of been blowing my mind, because within this industry, there's just so many different approaches that you can take. And something that I hadn't seen before, you might not be able to tell from the video as you're watching, but we're actually sitting in a campground right now. I've never heard of someone doing this in a campground. So how did that come about? It
was kind of a cool idea, actually, from OOD is the one that kind of spearheaded a lot of this. We partnered with this, they're known as LCRA, which they pretty much control a lot of the parks and rivers and things like that in this area. There's a lot of campground spaces that are left unused, and they realize, you know, Marriott is investing. They just bought Postcard Cabins, or they used to be Getaway, which is basically something of a similar design like this. So other people are starting to take notice that the industry is really shifting that way, and the demand from guests are looking for these unique experiences, but with, you know, a little more luxury feel to them. Not everybody, people want to come out to these really cool campgrounds where they have parks and lakes right on it. You can go boating and all these activities right here, but you'll need to go either just rough camping where you just pitch a tent and figure it out from there, or you need an RV, and like those are very expensive now. And so this is a way to really kind of meet in the middle for that demand, while also being able to draw from a bigger guest pool, and it works for all sides. Now, they're gonna have a lot more notoriety from the campground, and it's a technique that any person out there, if they're really kind of curious about this business, they can look around in their local areas and see there may be options out there to come out to, you know, reach out to some of these campgrounds and go, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Do you know, like, what's your appetite for that? You don't know unless you ask. One of my favorite sayings is closed mouths don't get fed. And so if you don't ask, you'll never find out if that place would be interested in. The worst case that's gonna happen is a no. And so what's really cool about this is I have different glamping sites. I have private land that I own and do it there. And that's way more intensive because I do landscaping. I do every single thing is on the owner to make that happen. Here, it's kind of more of a shared effort, and it's more of a communal feel, which some people like. You know, like some of my private land glamping it's kind of far out there, and it's kind of tucked away where it's almost maybe a little scary for some people that don't want to go out that far. You know, I'll see it on our social media. People are like, oh, that's too scary. It's just too secluded, you know? So this is really cool because it's kind of like you get to the best of both worlds there, I'd say.
Nice. So just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, you don't own the land, so no money invested there. The house came for free. So you've started a business, and maybe you're into it for the 25 to 50,000 that you had mentioned, and there's another one over there. So that's pretty cool. As the short-term rental expert, what are the things that people should look for if they want to start something like this? Like, we're by the lake, is that necessary? Like, what are the key things that you have to hit, or people just aren't going to go?
So I have something I kind of coined. It's you know, that it's a loaded question because you really can make any site kind of at least get some traction depending on how unique the stay is and the amenities you provide. But my rule of thumb is, when I'm looking at any new project possible, is the 60-30-10 rule. You need to be 60 minutes from a major metro hub, 500,000 people or more. Even better, like in Texas, Houston, obviously 8 million people. Austin, 4 million people. We're about an hour from Austin. My other site's about an hour from Houston. The 30 minutes is being 30 minutes from some type of state, regional, or national attraction. Obviously, bonus points if you're near a national park, but my site in Cold Spring, Texas, which is near Houston, we're near Lake Livingston, which is it's a big lake, but not as well known, and we're also near a national forest. There's 4 of them in Texas. Same with this site. We're near Lake Bastrop. We're near a state park. This is going to give you a continuous pool of people coming out that, besides your social media and your marketing, these people are like, there's always going to be people coming out to this area to vacation, looking for something to do. And I almost tend to say sometimes, I have a few places near the Smokies actually that I help operate, but I tend to see more repeat customers and guests going to the regional and state attractions like most people only go to a national park a couple times in their life, if
Yeah.
that, maybe once, you know. These state parks, there's loyalists that go here every single year and continue to come back. And if you have a few different units, they're going to be craving that experience more. And then the 10 minutes is 10 minutes from a gas station or, you know, Dollar General, Walmart, some kind of civilization. You know, it sounds appealing to buy, you know, a really cheap piece of land in some far off place that's 3-4 hours away from everything. And it's like, where do you get cleaners from? Where do you get handy people from? How often do you go to the site? You know, like, so that just helps your operations be a lot better. And if the guest needs something, they can hop over to Buc-ee's, you know, 7-8 minutes away and get it, as opposed to driving 30 minutes just to, you know, get a Coke or something like that. So.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Now, I just got here 20 minutes ago. We've been chatting, but I'm here for 2 nights. So what are the must-dos in the area? What do I have to do to really experience this signature house from OOD?
So, you know, definitely enjoy the space, really kind of unwind and take some time to yourself. That's the first thing I always want people to do, is to, you know, realize that when you're in this moment, you need to enjoy that kind of moment. But then being near Lake Bastrop, which is, you know, breathtaking when you're out there, there's kayaking, there's boat rentals, there's putt, there's, you know, fishing. You can go swimming in the lake. There's all that kind of things that you really can explore. And, you know, there's nature trails and hiking. But then, of course, you're in Austin, Texas, too, like near it. So you need to get some barbecue. Definitely need to satisfy that craving. Tex-Mex food is huge here. You'll see at least 5 or 6 different restaurants that probably have amazing Tex-Mex food, the best queso you'll ever have. And then I even mentioned it to you earlier. You have to go to the attraction of Buc-ee's that people have out here. And then Austin is such a great, you know, we're about 20 or 30 minutes from downtown Austin, but they have an amazing live music scene, like tons of like bars and shops and things that are just super lively. And Austin's catchphrase is like, keep Austin weird. It's probably gone a little astray from that in the past few years because a lot of people have been moving here, but it's still one of the most unique places that you're going to find around. And really just getting into the immersive culture out here. Get some barbecue, get some live music. You'll get the feeling for it for sure.
Perfect. Sounds good. So yeah, I've seen the signature house before, but never had a chance to really spend a significant amount of time in it. So I'm definitely excited to check it out and give it a test run. All right, that's it for me here at Lake Bastrop. Big shout out to Garrett for laying it all on the line and telling us how this all works. So hope you enjoyed the interview. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.